And definitely the washing of hands is like a religious, psychological, total thing.
Do you remember at the start, and they made those videos, and they were actually showing people this is how you wash your hands?
Oh my God! Yeah, they did it in the local schools here. This is the part that's the level, Campbell, where really it departs from all reality.
Mm-hmm.
Where I honestly have no explanation where a principal and a teacher and a trained medical professional actually go in to the top high school in the area and go to an advanced high school like math class and take time out from class to instruct kids how to wash their hands and how to sing a song like a nursery rhyme song. And
yeah, that's
row,
right.
row, row your boat because life is but a dream.
So you wash it for 6 seconds or so.
And they actually think they're doing something vitally necessary and serious for the health and life of these children. And if they only just do it right, it's all going to go away in a week or two, maybe. But they won't say that because they really know it's never going to go away because they accept that and they cling to that and they hold on to that because it's going to make everything better. And my head explodes over it. Like,
my head's exploding over it now.
But I remember this. You guys had this feeling too. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything about how it is for girls because I don't know. But I know for boys in school being forced to sit through things a lot. I've had this feeling my whole life over and over again where I just want to explode and scream and kick chairs around, which is so against. My God, if I did that, the things that would happen to me. But it's actually righteous anger. And I've had this ever since I was a little kid.
Well, it's like Jesus in the temple, man, kick over the bloody money changers, But this is because the problem, this is what makes your head explode, is they go into all this stuff and you can ask them one simple question that a 5-year-old could come up with, and that would prove them to be complete morons. But they can't think of that question. If you're going to teach these kids to wash hands, I mean, it's like, you understand these kids are 16, right? Yeah. And they're still alive. Might want to take that into consideration that they've got.
And then just like you get into it deeper, like let's say, but when you do that, you pose that question, they get confused. They're confused. What are you trying to do? You're trying to mess up with this great thing that I've just done.
I'm trying to say,
you should be thanking me. And then you get in deeper. It's like, well, wait a minute. So if you're washing the surfaces with these harsh chemicals, they took a day, an afternoon off of school once a week. Send everybody home because we got guys in hazmat suits spraying everything with chemicals because it survives outside for 12, 24, 36 hours or whatever in sunlight, in summertime, in heat. But to get the test where you can barely test positive, they have to go right up and swab deep into next to your brain and swab that right up your brain nose and just stick it up there and get that. Because if they would get towards the front of your inside of your nose, it might not read.
Exactly.
It's like
if it was like they said, literally they could hold up a cloth in front of your mouth and say breathe, and then they test that because it'd be covered, wouldn't it?
Right. Yeah, or just pick up a mask off the ground with tongs and put it in a hazmat bag, and then use sirens and lights and rush it off to a center and test it.
Man, this is Black Death on the floor here.
Yeah, they should. but kids don't have to participate because who gives a shit about the children? You know, it's like,
I know.
But then some mothers voluntarily cover their kids' faces and fight with them over it, and the kids are like, "Stop it! What the hell, mom?" You know, and and I see this stuff, and that's like child abuse.
That is child abuse.
And I have a deep desire to put a stop to it right then and there.
Me too. It really annoys me. I haven't seen it in person, luckily, because I really don't know what I'd do. I think I'd just start yelling at these freaks who would do that to their own children.
Yeah.
And especially when, like you said, when there's no advice, medical crappy advice that says mask your kids. It all says, oh no, kids are fine. So
yeah.
Right.
But then if you said anything, it's like you say, they'd be like, but I'm saving the world. I'm saving the world.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, your kids are here killing the world, are they? They're the infection of the world.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah, it's like this term super spreader. I mean, that's like, oh, come on. Come on.
Come on. 5 years ago, that was what you used for fertilizer on your lawn, wasn't it?
Super spreader 2000, yeah. Push it faster, it throws it farther.
Bloody hell. You know what I was thinking about the other day too? The word conscience. Science.
Science, yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. I think anything with like Confucius.
Confucius, yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's so many, and also conservative to conserve.
No.
I think anything with con in the front, I think it pretty much tells you what it is. You know, conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. You know, all of the words will tell you, I think.
Conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
Yeah. Because it's against the piracy. It's against the pirates to be a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting the words they use. They're very specific, and I see the double negative a lot when they do this disclosure. They're absolutely required somehow. I call it the deeper magic. Like the deeper magic requires that they disclose. They can avoid some kind of instant karma if they at least disclose, so that people who participate in it are doing so somewhat willingly with informed consent. I mean, obviously they're being duped. Obviously they're being tricked and all that. But I think there's some amount of maybe it's duper's delight, maybe it's gloating, but I think a little bit of it is like rules that they have to follow.
Yeah, I think they have rules like that. That they believe it's true anyway. You know, it doesn't matter if it is, but they believe it is.
Yeah. I think the manipulators have to show their hand, you know, basically give themselves away, you know, as, you know, at each reset as it rolls down, you know, or the end times or whatever you want to call it. I think that they, you know, the adversaries have to show their hands. It's part of it. I'm sure it is.
It's interesting that, you know, like at this point in time, you know, 5 years ago, that all this sort of tartaria, mudfloody, you know, alternative history suddenly came out, and you know, then we hit this point, and there's all the, you know, all the law stuff was coming out as well, like everything pretty much about everything, and how it's just a veil and just a script. It's just all. So that's the thing. I mean, is this all, you know, is this, you know, the ages and the astrology sort of energies changing, or is this their script? Is this written by them?
I think that you know, there's like, it's not even, I'm not sure if it's visible, but there's like waves that are coming through this reality, waves of change. Yeah. Where, you know, that is literally like another dimension. It can happen daily, you know. And I think they're coming through ripples, and I think that they're getting more constant. Time doesn't hold up anymore. The days what day you're on, what time of day it is just click of a finger, and you're on to the next one and the next one. Can't even keep tabs on it. You know what it's like. And this year, you know, it was only Christmas the other day, and now we're headlong into, you know, sort of spring-like weather. You know, it's just, how did this happen? What exactly is going on?
Exactly. What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's a lot bigger than us. I think this is definitely, you know, the sky clock changing time, and we're just got to go with the flow to a certain extent.
I picked up an interesting narrative this morning from a natural history magazine from 1835, and it's all different articles. But if overview it all, there's something definitely happened in this period. They say that basically all of the seasons were out of whack at this period. Migratory birds were losing their way. This was plain white. Aurora borealis was visible in low latitudes, and there was changing seas and wind tides. Tides and winds. So rough was the seas, the ships were left in ports for months at a time in foreign parts, just stuck there. So everything was in upheaval. It also mentions an increase in volcanism, massive meteor showers. One shower witnessed was all along the east coast of America, hundreds of thousands of fireballs from dusk till dawn. So you put it all together, there's a bit of coal in there, and what this is before basically evolutionary theory, 1830s. So there, he's given his version of basically fossilization and geology of what they think, and he's not really going with. He's saying there's been cataclysms to fuse these things rather than long periods of time for fossilization. And the whole narrative at the end points towards, is it possible? I won't use the word geo, but I will use the word magnetic reversal. Birds, losing their, this was like, they done one study on some eagles in Sussex, and they were losing their distance. They were losing their trip over only a mile or two. Getting confused, getting, panicky. So, and this was reported everywhere at this period, So, they're saying in the overhead view of this book is there's something cataclysmic happened in this period.
Yeah.
Stuck in.
So,
yeah, that's what you described. That's 1830. I just shared some photos. I don't see my screen share button. Wait, there it is.
Yes.
Oh, wait, there it is. Okay. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, yeah, I'll do this. And I'll pull this up. So you said 1830s?
1830.
Yeah, so this is from supposedly 1009. And you described, did you say earthquakes as well?
Yeah, earthquakes, extra volcanicity, changing tides, which I found really interesting, why that could happen, and wind changes, and aurora borealis at really low latitudes. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got, this says J531. Yeah. And yeah, they always have stuff going on in the clouds. But there was this. What really gets me is this eclipse. That's the video I uploaded that I deleted. I told you about earlier before we started recording. But that I was worried about being censored. But the corona eclipse of December 26, 2019 was, I think, the very same day they started first talking about stuff. That's when things changed. And there was a lot of predictive programming and things about this annular eclipse. A lot of people think eclipses, the moon covers the sun perfectly exactly, but it's strange because 25% of the time it's not covering. It's an annular eclipse, and most of it has to do with the size of the moon.
Wow.
But on December the 26th, the sun was at the maximum, the moon, or near the maximum. The moon was at near the minimum, and so it was a thick ring. And it's funny how all this stuff kind of started then. I'm not sure what to make out of this Yule log coming from the sky, but hopefully we don't see that. But I thought this city was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's holography. I do. talked about this one. It seems to be holography of some sort.
Yeah.
You know, like the floating city in China a few years ago, and it was spotted in Hastings in England. Do you remember that being posted about?
The floating city. Well, I was looking at these boats that, you know, there's like Civil War era, like old Ironsides and those types of things.
Yeah, the ironclads. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if I have a picture of one of those. But the thing that struck me about them is the geometry of it reminded me a lot of a star fort. You know, the angles.
It's like a stealth bomber. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought maybe whatever they defend against, because as far as being a boat, it doesn't make sense. Now, maybe the stealth technology that they say is to deflect radar in that way, maybe it's not really that. Maybe it has something to do with whatever the reason is that they made these funny shaped boats.
Yeah.
But the old, it's obviously old civilization, I think, leftovers, because they stopped making it right away.
Yeah, I agree. And all of that narrative with the Huntington submarine and all that sounds a bit like, you know, not very, you know, advanced science, you know, the winding mechanism by hand, crank it. Also, you know, it's all from the Smithsonian, and I've never really trusted it. So it would make sense to me that they had advanced tech, you know, and that would make sense with the ironclads. They were supposed to be the first iron battleships in reality, mine, you know, so I think there's definitely more going on. You want a clue there? Have you seen the word? You know, you just said annual. You notice that word is annual. Annual.
Well, annular eclipse. They said it means they said annular means ring, and I didn't follow that, but that's what they said as far as annular eclipses. I learned about them as corona eclipses, and yeah, so I'll share a picture in a minute here, but
Share the book on my last post of eclipses from from 1444 and onwards.
Yeah, the pattern, it's every 18 years, but the locations are different. The Steros cycle.
I wonder if, wow, okay.
They call it a ring of fire eclipse as well.
Because, like, I've wondered if the Star Force, you know, if they're like a, you know, map of the sky as above, so below. I wonder if they're used for tracking things. So you build the Star Fort, and then that's where the eclipse of this year happens, and then you have another one where it's, so then that way you can literally track it. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be interesting to look to see if that matches up.
Have any of you guys? I just did an interview with Sonia. Do you guys know Sonia Testament?
Yeah, of course, Sonia.
Yeah. She's a live wire. Yeah, just had a chat with her. She was saying the moon. She noticed in 2017 that the moon used to be pretty much, you know, like upright. So when it, you know, we got, you know, half moons and things that'd be upright.
Yes. Yeah.
But now it's this way.
It's like a smiley face, right?
So exactly. So instead of being up and like a half circle, now it's like a smiley face. Yeah. So so the moon's like what?
Well, that's exactly what I want to show you. It's all from my video. So yeah, this is the annular eclipse, and I'm going to take a few screenshots from the video that I am afraid to publish.
So what? Do you know what year that photo is?
That is the December 26, 2019 eclipse.
2019, yeah.
There's a lot of things in movies. So what I did is I looked at like The Lion King. There's this song that the bad lion sings about taking over and becoming the king. And they show him, and it's the moon in that case. And he sings, "We repeat." So it's like the repeat reset cycle. And then he's singing, it's the song "Be Prepared." And the coup of the century and scam, the murkiest scam, be prepared. And when he's singing that, behind him is this. Yeah, well, this is from the Lion King. So you can see here, there's this shape behind him, which it's in the video, it would be an eclipsed moon, which we've had, but it more closely matches in my mind because it wraps around, way it wraps around. When, I don't know, when I've seen eclipsed moons, they don't look like that. But what they drew and the color they used, the yellow, looks like this, because the moon almost never looks yellow. It's depicted as yellow in art a lot, but really it's not.
Yeah.
And the sun typically would be yellow. With the right filters, it looks yellow. And, you know, lack of chemtrails and things like that. But
it looks transparent on the middle way.
yeah, I've heard about that. But yeah, there's a lot to look at with these things. Here's another one. If you look at like the World Economic Forum, there's this showing up and a whole bunch of other places. So here you see this.
Ah, yeah, nice.
All right.
And yeah, there's a bunch more examples. I'll send a few more.
I was watching a video the other day, and they were talking about the Vesica Pisces.
Yeah.
And then they showed like symbols like Coco Chanel. You know, it's got the 2 C's, and in the middle there's the Vesica Pisces.
Yeah.
They showed like heaps, and there's like heaps of symbols, and they've all got the Vesica Pisces, and that's also, they were saying, to do with, you know, planets and stuff coming into, and eclipses and that coming into, you know, merging their fields kind of thing.
Right.
Virgin points. Yeah, I've heard that. I have different ideas about fish,
which I guess is also, you know, this is the whole, you know, if you've got a male energy planet and a female energy, and they come into the planet, and then you create the Vesica Pisces, right? That's the whole birth thing, isn't it? The whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, jeez.
So this is that the Caesar, you know, I don't know what's the actual term for it, but having to do with the rule of the Caesar.
What are they? Not wreath.
Divine rule or something like that. It's
laurel wreath. Is that what they're called?
Yeah. It's not a tiara. It's not exactly a crown, but maybe it is. But this is the one that, here's another one, say this. Like this is the official logo. You know, it just keeps showing up. And so, you know, why would they do that? Like, why would they choose that? You know?
Wow.
So it's maybe it's just looking into things, you know, too deeply, but I don't know.
Think so. That's across a lot of things, and all those organizations have the same sort of agenda, don't they?
Yeah, and the symmetry that they have, and so in the video, I have this doctor, the doctor I'm talking about of the main American doctor telling everybody what to do. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The guy, the HIV/AIDS guy, and all that stuff. Yeah. Well, he was saying, he was listing off all the organizations that have to cooperate to handle the next inevitable pandemic. He said the surprise pandemic that will happen, I'm telling you, in the next administration. He just laid out there in like 2014 or 2016. Mm-hmm. And he listed off all these organizations that are exactly the ones that have all these same logos. And so the logo was like a secret little thing that showed in plain sight when it would kick off, I think.
And see, this is the thing, is they clearly speak another language than us. And as far as, you know, they can read these symbols, they can read different things, all this stuff around it, we just can't read it. That's right. You know, this is a whole hidden in plain sight thing, is, you know, it's like if you look at like you know, a white F in a blue square, you know, that means a lot of things, right? If you see that symbol, it's like, wow, that means, you know, talking to friends and posting and blah, 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 blah. So you can imagine what one of their symbols would mean. It doesn't just have like one little meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
it can mean so much stuff, just like when you look at, you know, whatever, the Google symbol, the Facebook symbol, the whatever symbol, they hold so much information in them. And so if they're walking around and they can read all these symbols and they've got this other language, I mean, it just shows you how they were able to get their networks out and just, you know, they're just talking around in plain sight. We just can't understand what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. That says something in the Bible about beware those who fumble their hands around and they wink with their eyes and shuffle their feet. And it hadn't made sense to me until I had thought of all that later on, you know, like, but I haven't seen or heard much about the shuffling of the feet, you know, but there has to be, if we look for it, I guarantee you we'll find it now with like politicians and different people, like how they position and shuffle their feet will probably tell when they're doing truth drops and predictive things and stuff like that. So just another thing to watch out for. But,
interesting. There's a dance out called the shuffle dance they're all doing.
Oh wow, that's what the TikTok dances that the nurses do is a shuffle. That's absolutely it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
that didn't take long.
No.
Yeah. All right. Next, we're just like a kiosk, you know. Bring it. Take care of business.
Next puzzle. I think everything seems to be connected, you know, it really, really does. You know, you look at that UN symbol, you know, 33 subsections, so that's them. 2 surrounding laurel leaves, 2 opposing toruses, so they know the electromagnetic model of this place, and they just tell you everything in the symbols. I see it everywhere I go, on every single motor car. You know, you was on about Star Trek. Why do they have the vector? Why are they? And they're not the only ones to have the vector UAP, are they?
And what does the vector mean?
This is what I'm saying, the vector. Well, we know what vectoring is in like, you know, physical terms, is when you deviate a course. What battleships do, or aircraft in the war, they take vectors, meet you at vector 2, and they cross, you know, basically you can cut off time, if you like, or land miles by doing vectors. Yeah. It's, you know, something in the maps and the longitude and latitude lines. So vectors, so it's like, it's a suggestion, I think, of loopholes in this place, or, you know, somewhere where you can slip through distances, you know, from, you know, very small, you know, leaps, you know, kind of distances. I think it's that sort of suggestion with vectors, because that's what it implies anyway, you know. So
where I've seen it a lot is anything with a space agency logo, and then I've seen it with the George Orwell 1984 INGSOC has the vector prominent. Pink Floyd, The Wall, when he's doing like In the Flesh and those things where he's militant, he's got the black and the red, and then the way
as well. So it's like in the Beatles as well.
In what? Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
Sergeant's stripes is also.
But they're doing this thing. And so it's the hammers, but where the colors change for the handle of the hammer and the other part, it makes a red V.
Red and black hammers, is it?
Yeah, and so it's always a red V.
Oh,
it's always red. Yeah.
Never noticed that. Yeah.
I noticed. I just happened to see that yesterday. There's like the V series of aliens where V is for victory, and then there's a Tartarian building or an old world building here in Toledo, which is the Valentine Theater. And it has a big V prominent. It's definitely old world. That's almost untouched. Beautiful. And I've seen that V when I look into old movies. I see that V a lot. Well, just like associated with theaters, you know, theaters, production, like stages, things like that. They have the V. So, I don't know.
Nice clues with a V. You know, they joined the 2 V's together and made it a double, you know, a W, didn't they? 2 V's.
W.
Yeah, why is it called that?
Type your part like this, you know, and then I'll touch it, and then they become W later on. So let me
Yeah,
go to the V.
I always wondered why they called it W. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not W. It's a double V.
Yeah.
I looked into, where V arrived from, and it's like a relatively, recent arrival in terms of phonetics. And it's just the whole thing. I was wondering about its vibration. V, V. Is there something in that? Because it seems all these words they give us certain, vibrational quality, and I try to interpret what it might do. How it might affect you. So I think all words affect the geometry and the written word too. This is why they write down. I was thinking about it this morning. When they push pieces of paper into the cracks in the wall, in the Wailing Wall, so they write down the little prayer or what they want to happen, oogles of money or what have you. And I'm guessing there's a rule where they don't, you're not allowed to pull out the piece of paper and see what somebody Trump's wish. Because it's the written words and it's put in, the wall of Solomon's temple, which is supposed to house this sort of magic. I think that they think that the geometry in there makes these words manifest. So that's why they all do it. I think it's magic.
Yeah.
Magic.
Spell.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, amazing. The old ironclads.
Yeah, the writing on the wall, that's another thing I looked into, because with what's going on now, the things they put up on the walls, those little things that they put up on there, it's like those little eight and a half. Well, for me, it's 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper that they have everybody putting on at the stores, telling you what to do. It's the writing on the wall type thing,
Writing on the wall, yeah.
Like you were saying, yeah.
With these ironclads, I got a collection of photographs of the crew, them on deck, really, really good quality pictures. But what I can't find is anything on the interior, because I really want to see the interior and see what was going on below deck levels. And it's crazy for the ship to have no drafts. Now, I know these worked up, along the coast, Galveston and at the East Coast and that, but no draft, which means it's just really heavy, which means there's a lot more going on below, below water level.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So intrigued what was down below, because there's a lot of space inside there, and they got big gunners in there as well. So yeah,
they called them. Have you seen about these whalebacks?
Not sure.
Yeah, it's a type of ship called a whaleback, and it's kind of like these. It's like in Calcutta, there's a wooden, like a wicker. It looks like a submarine.
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, that fits.
So it's like that, but they have them steel or whatever metal it is. Right. And they used them a lot. They were used in Buffalo, New York, and all over. And there's a bunch of pictures somebody found that I really haven't ever seen before in my life. And so I can pull those up. It'll take me about 5 minutes.
Wicker submarines.
Well, that's just the one. It's like a really unusual vessel that was beached on the river in, I think it was Calcutta in like 1890, 1898 or something like that. Maybe it was older. It might have been 1860 in that really high quality photo. But I don't. If you, I might have it. It might take me a while to find it. But
there's a wooden one, like a submarine that's steam powered from the 1850s or something, and it's wood, like paneled wood, like it's a submarine that you can. They've still got it on show somewhere. Yeah, you heard of Paul Cook?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
He's done some really good stuff. His latest video,
railways. Yeah.
Old steam powered stuff and pneumatic and. From the 1700s and stuff, and electric cars driving around and in like 1820 and just yeah,
crazy.
That's mad, isn't it? And like you said, it shows you, they probably had all this tech and they just like the Hindenburg, probably. It was like, oh, this car blew up, so no one gets cars anymore, and oh, this happened, so. And then before we knew it, they thought that horse and buggies were advanced, and then they just give us new cars that then they can charge us for the fuel for, and it's like yeah, we're going forward.
Yeah, that's a video I was just about to do, where I realized, it dawned on me that we think of them as, okay, they weren't as advanced because they didn't use cars in the past, but actually, it's like where we're going. If we went back in time, where we're going, we don't need roads, we don't need cars, because they had the trains, they had the trams, they had the dirigibles, and then you have a horse, which is far more advanced than any car because it's a living, breathing thing with intelligence.
Free energy.
Free energy. It mows your grass, and it produces fertilizer, and it has a personality, and it reproduces itself. It doesn't need any upgrades or engineering changes, and it's like, well, actually, how do you improve on how they had things? It's really, I mean, obviously, yeah, the cars, you can do a lot, but then think of all the work it creates for everybody to have to maintain all these roads and different things like that, which they still had, but not to the extent that we had. As long as you have the trains, you have the dirigibles, you have balloons, and who knows what else.
Boats, I think.
Yeah, they had electric boats.
But I think the main thing is the whole, pace of life, isn't it? It's like we're sort of put in this place where we think everything's so fast and we have to do so many things, and so you need a car because you got to get somewhere in an hour, and you need planes because you got to get there in a day, and if you don't have that, you just relax, and it's in a world that's not based on money, then if you take speed out of the equation, then of course all that past stuff was much superior to what we've got now.
Yeah.
All we've gained is a little bit of speed, but for what? We sold our whole lives out, just to get a little bit of speed. What?
Yeah, it's definitely not beneficial if you really examine. It's like one of the telling things, you take an inventory of something and you can really see how ridiculous some things are. And that would be a good one. It's just an inventory of, take a big, huge traffic jam, and if you would interview each person in each car of where they're going and why, you could eliminate 80% of all that pretty easily, which essentially what they're doing now, in a way, if there's anything positive about it, it has done a lot of that. Like people being able to work from home with the technology we have, they could have done that anyway. You don't have to destroy yourself.
Don't ring true to me, like washing machines and advanced washing powder. Yeah, the clothes of the old days, where they're not supposed to have these washing machines and advanced washing powders, look fantastic. And the further back you go, and then you go into the 18th century, and then you're further back and everyone's in silk and everything is fantastic. 1800s, everyone's got a starched shirt and everything's clean and
yeah.
So
well, I wanted to do like a whole live broadcast thing about that and just ask people and try to figure it out, because that's really one of the great mysteries for me, is what is going on with the clothing of the 1800s, like what is the why are they in drabs, and why are they dressed like it's
funeral?
12, it's a funeral. They're ready. That's what I was joking about. Like every day they wake up, they're like, okay, it's 12 degrees C, breezy, and there's a super powerful sun that'll just burn my skin on contact, and I'm probably going to a funeral or two. I'm ready to go. I just might as well wear the same outfit every day, which they do. I mean, how could they do that? Every picture you see them on the beach in summertime, and they're in the same dang clothes pretty much.
And the clothes are never dirty. Who's cleaning all these clothes?
Well, they're they're black clothes too. Like it's like dark brown or jet black, but then it has white, like lace, and I don't know. I would think it would be awful to wear it in this big bird cages or domes or whatever they're wearing.
Cool. Yeah. The whole thing.
I don't like what. I thought part of it was to hide the figure if it's not really a woman.
Well, yeah, it's like the balls, the pictures of the balls, and the women have got 15 million layers on, and they've got the big bird cage skirts, and they're so big that you couldn't even get close enough to dance with them anyway. I mean, it's just weird, isn't it? You just get these, I don't know.
Yeah. It's supposed to combust as well. There's supposed to be a number of them that combust over time. It's supposed to be rather dangerous. So I can't work out why they would do it in the first place.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And they have to be dressed by someone else because they can't do it themselves.
So how's the first person get dressed?
I don't know.
They just take turns.
I was looking at a crazy photographic collection this morning of apparent Victorians, family reunions. So it's just all the family together outside the house for snaps, yeah? But they're just crazy pictures, seemingly like nothing going on. The people look a bit different, can't put my finger on it. The clothes, like you say, are all just like in mourning, like a funeral. But the women all in crinoline and silks and fine laces, which is crazy manufacturing with lace. So what exactly is going on? How are they so immaculate?
It's so different, like you said, from before. Like it's really amazing to me. You go back through paintings and you get to the 17th, 16th, and especially the 15th century paintings. It jumps all the way back to like biblical times, where it's almost a perfect match.
Exactly.
And I've even found photographs of people who, to me, it was photographs of Greece, ostensibly in the 1890s or 1902.
Yeah.
I swear the way people are dressed, the way everything looks, it could be exactly from like the year 1 BC or
like
yeah, now I can.
Yep.
Yeah, these Victorians, there's just seemingly nothing going on except for their massive houses, for the high their ceilings are. But
it's a big plant.
This is the typical Victorian. Like you say, the gentleman got always white shirt, so a bit priestly,